Dimp Digital presents Idle Game Chat.
Cool.
So Logan, Final Fantasy 16 is out. We'll be talking about the reviews in just a little bit, but a little strange story popped up in my news feed, and I wanted to use it as the springboard for this particular edition of Idle Game Chat. Here's the headline, taken from VGC as we usually do, although actually I've got some sources later on that isn't taken from VGC because the body of their article didn't have the required detail that I wanted. So
Throw him under the bus.
Feedback, they call it, didn't they?
Feedback. Constructive criticism.
Just giving someone a bollocking, but changing the words. Square Enix U-turns on Final Fantasy 16 Day 1 patch. An update is now planned to improve performance and fix various issues. Square Enix has confirmed it will release a Day 1 patch for Final Fantasy 16, despite previously stating it would not need to do so. This was confirmed during a pre-release live stream on Saturday. The game's development team said the update would fix progression, crash issues, as well as making performance improvements in different parts of the game. There's all manner of other details and bollocks there for people to read into for that. So first of all, what are they even trying here? Why do they come out and say this? We're that confident this don't need a patch, and then lo and behold, a week out they've gone, well, we've seen some stuff. But what do you think they were trying to pull to start with? Because it seems like a fight that no one's asking for in 2023. Like, we're just accustomed to these patches coming in.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, I think we've been through this. I can't remember the last game when I didn't put a disc in and it needed some sort of download. Like, whether it's patch, content, whatever it is, like, it largely, you're doing something like that on day one. So I don't really care if there's then a small patch that I need to, like, I prefer to have the patch and not have the bugs. Like,
yeah.
I mean, in an ideal world, don't release it with bugs, but there must be some, I don't know. I mean, look, the simple reality is these things are play tested, and then when they go live, things come out. Like, you're never going to release something realistically that's like perfect. Like, even God of War has patches, right? Yeah. And that I put up there as like the bar of quality. So I'm fine with it. I'd prefer them to continue to patch stuff rather than just release it and go, right, have that, be at it.
Yeah.
So it's part and parcel of it, but I don't know why you'd set your stall out and go, no, there ain't going to be anything. Like, was it matter? Like,
It was
just let it be.
You weren't going to win any awards for shipping a game with no day one patch. Like, no one was going to clap that in. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like this is all part of, if we go back to the Xbox One, and they talked about that being always online.
Yeah.
And people were like, well, what about people that ain't got the internet? And even like back then, so that would have been what, 2013, 2012 sort of time. That was probably an overreaction slightly back then, especially when you look a decade on now where we are in terms of online connectivity and what's required just to play a live service game. You know, it's just a given now. But I do wonder if they were just thinking, oh, maybe we'll get some brownie points for people that are buying it on a physical disc and then don't have the internet. But I mean, that must be a very, very small amount of, people.
Why are we catering to these people? I mean, you have to draw the line somewhere, because it's like, why are we doing it for cash? Bin off the oldies. Like, the oldies don't like it. Like, so you have to keep things going for certain populations, and I'm all for that.
Avoid that tax as well when those labourers come in.
Well, there is that. Yeah,
I've heard. I've never
that's
done it.
That's their problem, though. By the way, not ours. If you pay cash, that's fine and acceptable. But
even if they say to you, we're going to use that to not pay VAT, so you're going to get a.
I ain't responsible for anyone else's VAT or income tax. That ain't my responsibility. I pay for the goods and services, and then do what you like with it. It ain't my problem then.
True.
I mean, there's that argument, but then you can't be funding terrorism and stuff. So they say, well, so you got to be you got to be careful with it. You can't apply that as a blanket rule.
No.
Anyway, we digress. Forgot where I was now. Yes, so in online, but the reality is, and I'd be actually interested to see how many units of the Xbox they've sold versus how many. They must know how many they've sold and how many.
Not very
are
many,
online.
by the sounds of things. Ah!
Oh, got them. It must be lower than 0.5%. Like, surely it must even lower than that.
Well, don't you need? I could be wrong here, but you definitely needed a smartphone to launch the Xbox Series X, which
I can't even remember now.
you had to have download the app and do something on there. So I'm wondering whether nowadays even the consoles require a level of activation. But I mean,
I'm fine with that, by the way. I'm not. Yeah, no. You know, the reality is that you used to be able to buy a games console and it'd sit here and never be connected, and then it got to the point where you could connect it through that Xbox 360 mainly. I think that's what kind of pushed it to the mainstream, and then get that going. It's just become the accepted norm now. That same with your smartphones. Like, imagine having a phone that ain't connected essentially to the internet of some form. Like, it's just a bizarre concept. So I'm fine with it. Again, it just goes down to transparency. Like, don't be sitting there going no day one patch. Well, how do you know? Because something could crop up that you ain't identified.
No. Well, they released a demo a week or so before, and I wonder whether they saw some telemetry or data from that and was like, or feedback, constructive criticism from that, and went, well, there's a few crashes we probably should fix.
It's going to happen.
And rather than burying our heads in the sand, we'll just take the small optical loss of like, sorry, we're going to do one now, and make sure the game's better for the vast majority of people landing on day one.
Yeah. Which everyone, by the way, would prefer. Like, find me someone that would rather have a glitchier game than a 100 meg patch or something. Like, and if they are, cull them, because they don't deserve to continue in this life, as far as I'm concerned.
Some of them are quite heavy patches, but I mean, a few gigs, and I've seen 30 odd gig patches come on day one. But I mean, I agree. I think most people would prefer that if the alternative is you don't get the fixes. If there was a way for the gaming gods to grant a few wishes, would one of your wishes be to bin off these patches altogether and that the game lands as good as it can be? Because I don't want to set the scenario where it's perfect, because then you take it. But where there's perhaps it's maybe not 100%, but you get like 90 or 80% of it on day one, rather than a 60% with a patch.
I don't really care. Like, the simple reality is, I sat here the other day and downloaded Spider-Man. I downloaded a whole game, and it took an hour. Like,
that fiber.
It ain't the end of the world. Yeah, and I get there's some people that are still sitting there on shit, like, and it's probably more inconvenient and annoying. But I think we've been through this before. Most games now I do digitally anyway. Very few do I buy on a disc, and the ones that I recall that I did buy on disc still needed downloads. So, and it doesn't particularly irritate me because I just know that's going to be the case. So I just factor that in. I don't think it makes that much of a difference to me that I'd be fundamentally asking the gaming gods to do that. If I could ask them for something, I wouldn't be begging for no patches.
That wouldn't be on the short list.
It wouldn't be on the short list.
You ain't going to go there.
I'm sick of these day one patches. It delays my gaming by half an hour. Can you fix that? No. Yeah. I mean, would I prefer them? If I had a choice of them going, do you want to download or not? Like, the argument is clearly not, because it is an inconvenience, whether you like it or not.
But the reality is, it makes the game better. So
you can't always have your cake and eat it. Sometimes you have to just accept the small things in life to play the long game. So that's probably where I sit on that.
And as privileged as this sounds, modern gaming almost requires a level of internet connection. So if you haven't got it, you are gonna struggle. It's as simple as that. And especially if you want to be on the cutting edge, playing the new releases, and And
I want them to continually update games. I want them to fix stuff. I want them to be encouraged to do that. Can you imagine if every time they carried on working on games and then released a patch that everyone went, "Oh, not enough! What are you doing?
Yeah.
It's so annoying." Like, it's so good that we've got that luxury. Like, it's and even, you know, going back to some of the live service stuff, like I remember I used to, when Fortnite first come out, go, how does this fucking keep requiring 5 gig updates every month? And I was like, I didn't get it. But then I realised what they're doing and how they're continually bringing additional content, really for nothing, to the majority that didn't want to pay anything and get cosmetics. Like it's like very lucky to be able to have those sort of games and be able to, you know, download them, the updates, within 20 minutes to half an hour.
Then Phil and Jim came to the rescue and went, well, we're going to offer an arrest mode on the console. So if you leave that on, it will download it whilst you.
Well, I mean, I must admit,
for a small, I don't use it, but if you.
Well, I try to, but it doesn't appear to be interested in. I must have something wrong, but
what, on the Xbox or both?
On both. I mean, to be fair, the PlayStation I won't criticise because it's largely inactive. But yeah, the Xbox always put that on. I don't know. I need to check that. If I put it on standby, it doesn't do it, basically. And I come back on, I'll go check for updates, and it goes, there's Warzone's 35 gig update. And you go, well, why has that not been doing it overnight?
Yeah, I know they fucked about with their modes to make it what they call it, the first carbon-aware console. So
honestly, you need to stop bringing that up to me, because it's like, there's very few things that immediately. Well, there's probably a lot of things that trigger me.
It's cognizant of the environment now, and it'll
immediately triggering me is hearing the word carbon aware. Like, it sends
for a machine.
Yeah,
unless it's got AI in it. This is what I'm saying, mate. In 10 years, it might have a little AI thing in it. They say, that counts as a living thing now. It's conscious. And you have to deal with that.
No,
Cortana.
I don't hear it. Fucking Cortana. Good Lord. That's 2 things in a row within the matter of a minute that's triggered me. Fucking Cortana popping up every 5 minutes. Get out of here.
Let's take a small break so Logan can calm down and do the introductions. Got apps here from Dimp Digital, and also Logan, who's the current Grand Prix winner of our Fantasy Gaming League, taking part in the Ultimate Championship Showdown against Parky as we speak. This is Idle Game Chat, a fairly frequent video game podcast, our flagship show actually at Dimp Digital. Completely independent and grassroots, as you would expect from 2 layabouts. But if you want to support us, patreon.com/Dimp Digital is the place to go and join the community. #hand in pocket. Well, I mentioned Final Fantasy 16. The reviews are out. The game's out. I've actually had a little dabble on it since it's been out, so I had a few hours of it.
Surprising.
Why is that?
I don't know.
I'm surprised you're surprised.
Well, I wouldn't say I was surprised, but I don't know. For some reason in my head, I didn't have this as like. I mean, obviously, you're pretty flexible, and you go, if the reviews are good, I'll get on it. Like, I'm fine, and obviously we'll get into that. But I was surprised at how. I don't know, like, I wouldn't say hyped. So you weren't like sitting there jumping up and down, but how ready you were for this. Like, I normally, or at least lately, you've been like, right, yep, good game. I've just come off the back of an RPG. I'll have a little rest and then get into it at a later date. But you've gone basically straight from Persona 5 into Final Fantasy. And I think that's why I'm surprised, is because you've gone immediately from a...
Turn Japanese, isn't I? All these Japanese. That's all I play now. Unless it's developed in Japan, I'm not interested. No, I mean, well, it's a fair point. I mean, this is an action RPG, so it scratches a different itch. I have to be engaged and remembering button combinations I'm struggling with. So I keep pressing circle, thinking it's the dodge, and it's not. It's R1. So that's Yeah, I don't know where I've picked that up from. That circle. I must have. Horizon, maybe? I don't know. It'll be another game somewhere.
It's a frequent dodge button.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. Like, even on the Xbox, B is often a dodge. So I can understand why that's ingrained. It does annoy me, and this is a separate tangent, when games randomly decide to mix up established control sets. It's one of my biggest bugbears, where they just decide they're going to do something different. Sometimes for a reason, but mostly seems to be some weirdo that's developed it has got some weird preference. You know, like you get these like Hull that has inverted controls and stuff. I'm just like, no, down's down, up's up, down ain't up. What are we doing?
Yeah, no, I agree. It used to be for the longest time. I think actually the Switch still does this. It's so it's circle and X. They fumble about with like one I think they ask you to press. I think it's A on their controller to go rather than pressing the bottom controller, which is usually what A and X on the PlayStation and the Xbox. They ask you to press the circle or the B button. And I'm like, no.
One of the hardest things with moving from like playing a game on either of those consoles over to the Nintendo is trying to then retrain the brain.
Trying to get in and out of those menus.
Honestly, I sit there and I feel like one of my parents are like playing it because I have to look at the controller and go,
exactly what.
Like, which one is it? Otherwise, I'm fucking fumbling around. I remember I was playing Arceus and I was like pressing like buttons. And it's not doing what I'm expecting. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, that's the one that gets me still. Because for the longest time, Japanese games on PlayStation, especially, used to do that, and perhaps other games did. And then eventually, I think it is a Japanese setup, and they eventually Westernised it in Nintendo. Like, nah, no need.
Nah, don't have to. The large majority of the people that play this are still in Japan, so stick up your ass, Westerners. Always fair enough approach, right? Always
look after the home teams, what I say.
Yeah.
But yeah, Final Fantasy 16. I was just looking for the next sort of that was the next earmarked game, and obviously we'll talk about the reviews. It comes down to avoiding a banana skin. Sitting at an 89, so that was like, okay, that's clearly not a shit show. I'm interested. I played Final Fantasy 15 to sort of thought it was good, maybe not great. This looked like a change of tone, certainly, with the more mature rating. There's fucking blood in it. There's all sorts going on. I'm not getting this vibe just yet, but I keep seeing the headline of Game of Thrones, but Final Fantasy blend. And I'm getting a little bit of it, but it's not quite on that level of brutality. Okay. But it's good, I'll say, in the opening few hours. I've enjoyed it. And the 89 score, who knows where I'll end up on the end of it, because it's a pretty meaty game. Lots of cutscenes and stories, breaking up action sequences and traversal and whatnot. So be warned if you're one of those people that just can't tolerate gaming stories. You can skip them, but it's just another aggravation. It's fairly story heavy. But no, the 89's come out. That's in your championship team.
Yeah.
So that's good news for you.
My pick, I believe. Or from my list.
Let me just double check that. No. Yes, it was. Made it. I can't believe it made it all the way down to the 7th round.
It ain't my bread and butter.
I thought one of the other guys would have had it in their top 2. That's what I was thinking. And
yeah, I mean, I think I haven't got the list with me, but I had it reasonably high on my list. Probably like it was at least obviously top 10, but I think it might have been one of my top 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I'd have expected like a Hall, or especially like basically one of the other guys to have had that higher in their list. It seemed like a no-brainer for me.
Because Adkins got it in the Grand Prix, but it was his number 4th pick. So it went through all those games, all 6 of them, ignoring it. Is it 6 or 8? How many people we got? 6 in it.
6. Yeah.
It's 8 with you two, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
So yeah, all that first round, 6 games. The second round, another 6 games. The third round, another 6 games, and then he got it.
Weird, isn't it?
I think a lot of it was to do. There was no concrete release date until sort of mid this year, so there was always that concern of chucking it in.
It always looked like though it was going to come. Like it was
should have done. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was like, even when I looked at it, it was like mid 23, and I was like, well, that's good enough. Like if they said late 23 with nothing penciled in, you'd start thinking, concerning. But and I think they generally would have wanted to get this out. Like it's one of those big titles where it's not. You wouldn't feel like they'd be that comfortable pushing it out 6 to 12 months.
No. Well, apparently, and again, this is all picked up from interviews and translations and whatnot. They spent the best part of a year just polishing it.
That's mad, isn't it?
So, it is mad, but if some of the Digital Foundry, for example, is to be believed, they're saying it's one of the most polished games that they've seen in a long, long time. And it's kind of shows that they've spent that time in it. So
it's a Square Enix game, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, they are so up and down.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about Capcom being pretty consistently good nowadays. Square Enix will drop an absolute banger and then just absolutely throw out toilet with no hesitation. They are literally all over the place, and they do strange things with their release cadence and whatnot. But no, Final Fantasy is obviously one of their flagship franchises, and they clearly wanted to spend the time and the money to get it as good as it is. And it's only on PlayStation at the moment. It's believed to be a timed exclusive, so who knows if and when that'll appear on PC and if ever on Xbox, because Final Fantasy VII Remake still not on Xbox. On PC now, but not lurking on there. And there's a suggestion there that Sony just keep re-upping the exclusivity every year for a small fee and go,
fucking Jim Ryan.
We'll be the Final Fantasy.
You got Phil the good guy, and you've got Jim Ryan over there being a fucking miser.
You say
I'm
Phil
getting
the good
sick
guy,
of him.
And there'll be stories coming later which will directly sting Phil's good guy image. But some reviews. Oh, other thing. I'm struggling to play games at the moment because it's too hot.
Yeah.
Like, I play Final Fantasy in the evenings. I have to wait until the sun's gone down a bit. I keep the windows open. I shut the blinds so that the light doesn't get in because it's fucking daylight till 10 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah.
And even then, I was like, fucking, this is
it's
wearing me
hard.
out. It's a tough time.
It is. I wondered because normally, you know, I say normally, but I'd be on the Xbox at times till like 11 o'clock at night sometimes. I found myself getting off it at the moment between 8:30 and 9. Yeah, well, I'm just done. I'm just too hot, too tired.
That sun comes up at 5, and then if I wake up at 5 o'clock, that's it. Once the sun's up, and that fucking pup needs a walk before 6, I have to be getting up early. So even the optimal times when it's the coolest, I can't even bring myself to stay up. So it's going to be slow going, I think, working through this. But I'm kind of looking forward to making it appointment gaming. Like, I'll be like, right, got 2-3 hours. I'm just going to say no disruptions from the family. I said I'm going there and play a game unless it's a major emergency. Put my headphones on, sit there and play it for 2-3 hours, then just come off it.
I love that term, appointment gaming. I'm going to coin that.
Well, it's when there's like a game like this I want to be invested in. That's what I like to do. If it's like I don't know, like a throwaway game, like I might buy the AEW game next week or this week when it comes out when people are listening to this, and that'll be a game that I'll just chuck on. You know, it doesn't matter if I'm even paying attention. I'll just play a few matches and turn it off. Yeah. But something like Final Fantasy 16, I want to
be invested in. Understood.
If I can. Anyway, the reviews. It's got an 89 on OpenCritic, which is a pretty good score. We've got Diego Perez from Attack of the Fanboy. Final Fantasy, he gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Nah, yeah, he did. I thought it was 6 stars, and I was like, what's he playing out there? Final Fantasy 16 is an outstanding achievement. Every part of it, from its characters to its combat, was put there with a purpose. Not only does it deliver a satisfying, slick action RPG combat in between the masterfully directed cutscenes, but also a story with real heart. Most importantly, it's incredibly clear that a team of creative individuals was behind every decision. Not sure that. I mean, sure that's with most games.
You'd hope so.
Well, he's saying the bean counters ain't got involved. Well, maybe they didn't. If they polished it for a year, they clearly didn't, because they'll be like, ship that out.
I just think it's a case that they've just got a bigger budget, so they've got more money to spend and then can polish it longer. I think that's all it boils down to. But.
And remember that they have actually only had to make it for one platform. It's on PS5 only, not PS4. And as we stated earlier, is at least a timed exclusive. So that's kind of the fruits of the labour sometimes. I know people don't like to hear it, but...
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
And then we say that, then we get Redfall and go, well... That's what he said, Harvey Smith, the director of that. He went, well, one of the reasons it's good is because we're better focus on a smaller level of platforms, and they ship that crap.
Yeah.
So... And we're not going to talk about
That's the difference, though. That's the difference between PlayStation and Xbox at the minute.
Yeah, well, until September, until Starfield just craps everyone. Well, no, hang on. Nah, what if it comes along and beats out Zelda? That's surely... Because you're getting fed up with Zelda. It's like the new Elden Ring for you. So, what if Phil saves you from the sweep of just Zelda praise? That's surely...
I mean, I think it's because I don't see this being like Game of the Year. I don't know why, whether I've just got anti-Starfield bias or Bethesda or Xbox, whatever it is, but
How can you be anti-Xbox? You are Mr. Xbox.
I know. I think that's why I've got a bit of a downer about it, because I've built myself up so many times.
Yeah.
Like, especially with like Halo recently and
Crackdown 3.
Well, everything they've released and they've been responsible for has just been shite. Well, that's not fair. It's just been below, like a league below what you'd expect or what you were hoping for. And I think that's why I'm just sort of really cynical about it, because I just don't want to. I'm bored of getting on the hype trains.
Yeah.
That's where I am with it. And they've got me to a point in Xbox where I get on the other side now and I get on the down train.
Drag it down.
Drag it down,
Drag all expectations down, then be pleasantly surprised when it.
That's where I'm going with it.
Although we did see that they come out and said only 10% of the 1,000 planets is going to have life on it, and I was like, well, I mean, I was hoping for a bit more than that. I suppose, what's that? 100 planets? That's quite a lot, but hopefully I've got to scan 50 of them to find. That's what I'm. As long as it's easy to find this life, I don't want to be floundering, going, well, there's nothing in this system at all.
But that's what happens, mate. You go out looking for life, it ain't always going to be there on your doorstep.
I know.
So realistic.
It is realistic, you're right. Anyway, what was
it would be a ball ache.
There's a human element that permutates every aspect of Final Fantasy 16, and it'll end up becoming a lot of people's favourite Final Fantasy because of that. We've then got, that's 5 out of 5 stars from Mr. Perez at Attack of the Fanboy. Chris White, God is Geek, 10 out of 10. Final Fantasy 16 sets a new benchmark in action RPGs, featuring a rich and fascinating story and a layered and enjoyable combat system. So that's
got Adkins syndrome, mainly. 10 out of 10's getting dished out.
They love it, didn't they? Let's look at the lower end of the reviews. Oh, Metro, of course. We can always rely on Metro when it's not a Nintendo game. Let's have a look. They've not named the person either, so we don't know who this is. Just Metro. It's the website. The website has, maybe it's the AI.
ChatGPT review.
Maybe this is what's happening. Just says Game Central. Maybe there's a little chatbot there. 6 out of 10. An excellent battle system shackled to a dispiritedly dull and long-winded fantasy adventure that takes an inordinate amount of time to say nothing of value. So they didn't like the length of it. Oh dear. Always put it in for balance. But I told you, they are harsh on everything other than Nintendo. So it's
amazing.
It's good to get that balance in there. Anyway, it's an 89 for you and Adkins. It puts you in a pretty good position. You've actually only got 2 games remaining to come out. No, 3, sorry. That's to tell you a lie. 6 so far with an average of 88. I think I posted in the group that you need if you get an 83 from the last 3 games, at least you will set a new record. So there's records to be had. And then I did say to you, don't be surprised if Parky doesn't have a comeback. There's 3 90s sitting in his room, and you rolled your eyes at it. So clearly you think you've already won it.
Well, no, I was rolling my eyes because I went, well, what then? You went,
It's not for me to say what they are. I'm not tipping people off, because if he subs one out or was thinking of transferring one out.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, actually. I didn't think about the transfers.
Yeah, and obviously I can reveal it at the end of the season and just pretend that I knew all along how it was going to play out, because no one knows what I'm thinking. But
I haven't looked at his list, but I do remember the last time I looked at it, I thought there was some strong games at the back end of it that could cause problems. Yeah. So that's why I've been playing it relatively cool. I mean, look, I've got the points in the bag, which is always where you want to be, but Arsenal managed to chuff it this season, so it can be done. You've got to be wary of the person behind you.
Yeah, that's very true. And Parky's sitting on, what's he bloody sitting on? Where's that bloody tab gone? He's on 317, but he's not got many games out still. 1, 2, 3, 4. So average is 79 though. I think that's what tells the story. Is the average is a bit lower. He needs to pick that up, but he's got some potential there if they land. Grand Prix, Biff's still in the lead. He's got 9 games out, so he's out in front with 704. Salmon next with 6 games out, 469. Then it's very, very close. There are 3 people with 5 games out. Paper, Hall, Adcock in that order. 383, 377, 373. So 10 points separating those 3, scrambling to get up the leaderboard. Adkins now got 2 games out. Average of 93, a colossal average, but with only 2 games that will never stay that high, I wouldn't have thought. He's sitting on a 181. Could he mount a comeback? Listen to this reel off a list. Zelda, he's got banked, 96 points. Baldur's Gate 3, he's got, when their last game scored a 92. which was Divinity Original Sin 2. Spider-Man he's got.
Yeah.
Forza Motorsport he's got. Tekken 8 he's got. Mortal Kombat 1 he's got.
Yeah.
I mean, they are in the realms of mid to high 80s. He's got some shitters, potentially.
Yeah.
The Lords of the Fallen, Stalker 2, which has just gone missing, and The Day Before, which is... I'm not going to say what I'll do with that, but...
It's a strong list, though, largely, saying. Yeah, I mean, you know, he'd largely... You'd expect him to do well in these, and he usually does. So, yeah, I mean, you know, I don't think it's the end. You always prefer to have the points on the board, but you look at Biff's and you go, well, they ain't getting one. That's really, not with that.
He's got Assassin's Creed Mirage coming in October to round out his team.
He was trying to get me to put that in as a sub for Homeworld, and I was just like, no. Like, what are you... No, absolutely not.
That's a dice roller, isn't it?
Like Valhalla, which is like the best-selling, most successful Creed, I think got an 82, or it might even be less than that or something. And I was like, well, how are we going to top it then? It's tricky. Franchise fatigue setting in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that could be a bit of a struggler for him. I don't think that's one to pin his hopes on.
No, and we'll see how it goes. We've got some transfers just quickly to get through. Hall got rid of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That's confirmed that it's coming 2024. And he's popped in this Super Mario RPG, which we saw at the Nintendo Direct. Adcock got rid of Hades 2, which we don't expect to come this year. And he's got in Super Mario Bros. Wonder, the new 2D
Surprisingly
Mario.
sensible for Adcock, we would say.
I know. And that's a good way to transition into the next phase of this. Nintendo did do a Direct. And I thought, well, I'll send Logan to have a look at the rundown. You can pick out if anything is of interest for himself. And you did pick out Super Mario Bros. Wonder, the new 2D... Mario game coming 20th of October of this year. So Nintendo, who looked like there was not sleeping, but who had Zelda and Pikmin come in, was like, is that going to be it? They've actually put a slate out for later this year and into next year, showing they've still got stuff in the chamber. But clearly this one caught your eye. So
I did say in the group, I said Mario or nothing. And I was like, Mario, give me that. And they've delivered.
I say that to be 3D Mario or nothing. That's kind of my approach now. I am the 3D merchant of that, but
it's undoubtedly
you're after 2D Mario.
Yeah, so I'll tell you for why. Me and Jodie enjoy doing co-op 2D Mario. We used to do it on the Wii. And there are obviously ones available on the Switch. And Jodie's sort of been on at me relatively recently about trying to do that again. And I was like, well, let's see what's going on. Yeah, I mean, they've basically delivered. I mean, it's up to a 4-player co-op as well, this one.
Get the youngster involved.
And no way. Honestly, I'm holding off on that at the moment, because as soon as he transitions, imagine if you put a Switch in his hands, all of that, like, you literally will not... I mean, some might say it's a good thing, but... You know, as soon as he's got that, that'll be life. So I'm holding off on that. But yeah, I mean, it looks like exactly the sort of thing that I want from a 2D Mario. I think there's definitely still a place for like a 2D platform.
Oh yeah,
I like the modern / retro style. I really do. I'm all about that. So I will be surprised if I won't be there pretty much day one on that one.
Nice.
Getting that downloaded on the giving the Switch an actual run out. Still got Pokemon to play, but
we've got some DLC coming for that.
I don't need
Scarlet
that.
and Violet, the teal mask and the indigo disc coming fall 2023 and winter 2023 respectively. So more content to play if you enjoy that.
At some point, I'm gonna have to think about picking it up. I don't know. I'm just hoping at some point my brain just goes, I want to do that now. Yeah. And it just goes for it. But I haven't fancied it, to be honest.
So will Super Mario Wonder, I'm just not going to say the Bros thing because it's annoying, is that going to be played exclusively co-op then? Is that the plan? Or will it be...
Yeah. So I'll do that and I'll play through that with Jodie. Yeah, when it comes out. She'll be pleased to hear.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I do enjoy
Get her to pay for half of it if she's going to play.
No comment.
It all comes out the same
ain't
fucking
gonna happen,
money.
Is it?
It'll eventually come out of your pocket anyway, is the way I see it.
This is what I mean. It's kind of like, We need this. It's like, right, well, I'll get that then, shall I? I haven't got any money left this month. Go right. So I just play the long game on these things and just go, yeah, I'll suck it up now.
Yeah.
Might as well.
It's going to be what it's going to be. So there we go. But no, it's coming 20th of October 2023. The one thing I've sort of picked out from watching this thing is they've got Super Mario RPG, which I know is not going to tickle your fancy because it's turn-based and whatnot. But that's a remake of a SNES game going all the way back. They're also adding Pikmin 1 and 2 as like a little HD remaster. That's coming September 2023. And what I was kind of looking at, I was like, they're actually starting to go back and get things off of old systems and just put them on the Switch. As always say, like, this is some of our old good stuff. Let's chuck it on there. Luigi's Mansion 2, Dark Moon, that's getting remastered and coming off the 3DS where it's stranded onto Switch. And I'm wondering whether this is a deliberate tactic, and they're sort of tipping their hand that whatever the next Switch Nintendo platform is, it will be backwards compatible. You know, this is like the start of a new going forward. You're always going to have to go back and play these games. Now, it is Nintendo, not known for particularly caring about logic or things that fans want necessarily. It's like, well, we want access to the SNES games. Like, yep, subscription only. Why can't I just give you a tenner to have Super Mario World? You'll make more of me. Nah, not selling that a la carte. So, okay, fine. won't bother with that. So there is always obviously a good chance that there is no backwards compatibility of the next Nintendo platform, because I think Modern Vintage Gamer did a good video saying it's not impossible, but there's actually some technical challenges by the way the Switch is built that might deter a team of people not to bother doing it. I'd assumed it definitely would be, but you know, it is Nintendo at the end of the day. Who knows what's going on? But this gives me a little bit more confidence that they're putting older games on, because why would you bother? Because you've got to do them again.
You're right.
You know, and I hope this is the start of everything from the Switch onwards will always be accessible in some way on future systems. Much like I think we've got an expectation that that's the same for the Xbox One and the PS4. That's sort of like the new... Well, Xbox goes back to the original, so let's give them credit there. But PlayStation 4 onwards, you can go back and play all your old games via backwards compatibility. And I'm hoping that Nintendo do that, because they haven't historically always done that. They've kind of done it in... I think the GameCube... I think the Wii would play GameCube games. I don't know what happened to the Wii U, no one bought it. And then the Switch was just a completely clean cut. So it was a fresh restart. I'm hoping this is a way of them building up their library again and going back with it. But I guess we'll see on that front. But anything else from that Direct that it was of interest? I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I will say there was like 30 odd games in 40 minutes. It's too much.
Everyone was like 1 or 2 minutes, wasn't it? Like 2-minute clips, and then you're on to the next.
I know it's never going to happen, but I just stopped. I don't need to see 30 games. I don't.
Show me the top 10.
I mean, even that's stretching it, but I'd accept that, obviously, as a trade-off if that's what they come out with. But
Sonic was an interesting one. Sonic, I had a Master System and a Mega Drive back in the day. It's one of those things, right, where I've always thought Sonic was not really something that I'd sit here on an Xbox Series X and go, yep, I'll better. So
it feels like a waste.
It feels a waste. So it feels a bit more at home on a handheld, and still weird to me to see Sega cropping up with Nintendo. Like, that's just such an odd thing for me, considering those were like the two options back in the day. It's like a PlayStation game then appearing on an Xbox or whatever, like, and it just feels weird for me. But potentially at the right price could be tempted into that. Again, it's co-op, so
£55 game want for it.
See, look, you're asking a lot. And you're asking a lot for a Sonic game.
55 UK pounds for new thrills and classic feels.
Yeah, it's a lot, isn't it? I mean, I'll pay that for Mario. That's the difference. I'll pay it for Mario, not for Sonic, which feels a bit harsh on Sonic, but that's just the reality of where I'm at. So I think, I'll keep an eye on it. It might be something that I look to pick up in a sale at some point.
Unbelievably, Super Mario Wonder is 50 UK pounds, so £5 cheaper. I'm using game here, which
Yeah.
They usually
Why
charge.
are we selling Sonic for more?
Yeah, that doesn't make
Apparently,
sense.
four-player cart for the first time ever. Who's doing that?
Well, that's what the £5 for.
It's
Extra
weird,
premium
isn't
for them
it?
to get it right.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the only other thing that really caught my eye. Obviously, some other stuff that I know other people would probably be more interested in, but
Yeah.
I'm always more interested in like new games rather than like DLC and things. They're the ones that usually I'm looking out for.
Yeah, that was pretty good direct though, and got a few interesting bits and bobs.
You get a Mario, you're laughing.
Yeah, exactly. You can't really sniff or complain at that. And
That's my view.
There's older games up. I've always wanted to play the Pikmin games, but that brain went, well, there's 3 of them now.
Will you pick those up then?
No. This is the thing. I probably won't buy anything new on the Switch until I know what's going on with that next one. So it could be 18 months. It just sits there and rots. The only thing that would change that would be a 3D Mario, I think.
Yeah.
I think. I'm just wary of it, just them coming out saying, right, here's the new Nintendo, start again. I don't want to have just gone back and just purchased some old classic games to like fill in some blanks and whatnot and get stung.
If it ain't on the new console, then you still have to play it on the old one.
Well, I always wouldn't play it. That's what Ronnie's thinking.
So I understand where you're going with it.
Yeah.
You're like, I'll wait until they bring it onto the new one. But your logic's flawed because if it's only on the old one, then you can't play it on the new one anyway.
I won't make the effort with them then. If they're not going to make me halfway,
I just won't play it.
No, I just won't play it. I mean, I'm not like crying out to play these games. It'd just be it'd be a nice to have.
Yeah,
but
I like finding a chink in the armour because it usually isn't there, and I found one. Your response is immediately just to go, well, fuck it then.
Yeah, I mean that's the only way I can logically do it. It's just to say, well, I won't bother then. I feel like I'm giving them, I'm overstepping the mark by even offering to play it on a new system. If they're going to say it's not available on it, I'll go, well, I won't bother then. Up your arse. Because I don't want to start building stuff on the Switch because I'm not going to. In all likelihood, I'm unlikely to keep it. Yeah. It'll get traded, and then at that point, I've got to start a whole new.
What you're saying is I'm basically expecting them to release something new shortly. So what's the point of me building up something now when I'll get rid of that, trade it in, and get a new one?
Who knows? It might not come to 2025. This new Switch, and I'll be sitting there cap in hand. But
I know what you mean, though. There's very few games where you're like. You're chomping at the bit for. Yeah. And you're right. A 3D Mario is different to a 2D. I mean, I'll definitely get that 2D one. There's no do about that, but I know what you're saying. Like it's not your main console, and you're quite happy to wait a couple of years to be able to play those sorts of things on a new one.
Yeah,
it's a fair approach.
And look, if this was Xbox or PlayStation, it wouldn't even be a question because I'd be.
That's on offer.
I know 99% confident they would have gone backwards compatible and they'll just run the games better. But Nintendo are just such a weird company sometimes that they're not to be trusted. So
you're right.
Rather than hand the money over something I'm not going to play, just in the idea I'm going to play it, I'll keep on to it. I'll be putting it in these high interest accounts thanks to inflation, and we'll be taking a little bit of a cash benefit off the top of that. Speaking of inflation. Microsoft raising prices of Xbox Series X, Game Pass in the coming month, Xbox Series S and Game Pass PC unaffected. This is from Eurogamer. This is where VGC didn't have the detail required. Okay, so it looks like prices are set to rise for new customers on the 6th of July. Existing monthly subscribers, this is for Game Pass, won't see these charges until the 13th of August. Or if you're in Germany, you've got the 13th of September. So weird. Why is it even separated that way? So here's the headlines. Game Pass Ultimate will go from 11 UK pounds to 13 UK pounds. Mm-hmm. Game Pass for consoles will go from 8 UK pounds to 9 UK pounds. And then PC Game Pass will be unaffected. The actual box itself in the UK, it will go from 450 UK pounds to 480 UK pounds, bringing it right in line with old Jimbo's machine. And then the EU are getting stuffed a little bit. They've got a €50 premium, goes from €500 to €550. So look, we knew this was happening to a certain extent. Yep. Phil fucking said it. October went. Well, I'll tell you what he said. September, after Sony did it, he went, no plans to raise any prices. October, he went, well, we'll have to have a look at that. And I said at that time, load up on your subscriptions.
Yep.
Load up, max out your whilst it's this price because you'll get stung later on. And here we go. They finally dropped the other shoe. Unexpected, but equally as disappointing as when Sony did it. So I have the same energy for that. And it is that, yes, I understand all the reasons why. Struggling. Well, they're not struggling. They're a $2 trillion company. They're all right. But, you know, companies are going to company. But it was a deliberate choice. They could have, in my view, held this if they wished to, and margins would have been smaller, but decided not to. It's a conscious decision that harms consumers in a perhaps a minor way or perhaps a bigger way, depending on your personal circumstances. Quick thoughts on this. Good guy Phil, we said. Friend of the show.
I mean,
he's reading Jim's playbook here and just following it a few months later.
Yeah, he is. It's exactly what he's doing. I mean, look, the simple fact is you're right. Largely companies can absorb. And he would argue that he has absorbed for a period of time, but the simple reality is
we don't want to
free money.
Nothing. Yeah.
Right? It's free money. You literally do nothing but charge more. It's the easiest way to increase those margins, right? So it's not good to the consumer, especially at a time when costs for everything are going up.
So I don't know if you know the answer to this, and I certainly don't. We got our inflation figures this past week in the UK, and they fucking didn't move. Yes. And then interest rates went up by 0.5%.
Inflation actually went the wrong way.
Yeah. But
unbelievably.
They strip out all the volatile stuff, don't they?
Yeah.
So my question, and one of the things they cited in the report was computer games. They listed it as computer games as being one of the things that drove the costs kind of up. Does Phil doing this and raising the price in the UK market just add a little bit of extra pain to potential future inflation figures? Because the idea is that people stop buying this stuff, but I ain't seen it myself. Like I said, I've seen them in the pubs. Yeah. They're all still there, spending the money. So
I don't understand it. I literally don't get it, right? This is the argument I've had the whole time.
They make it up.
Throughout COVID, when they go, no one's working, everyone's on furlough, like they come out of COVID and everyone's fucking broke, like no one can afford to go on holidays, like prices are going up, this, that, and the other. And you think, I still see people with new cars. I still see, like, I don't understand where all this struggle is. I mean, there clearly are people, right? I'm not saying like it's a lie. Like I get it. Like repossessions are up and everything. Like it's a tricky time, but the simple fact is everything and consumer, and they constantly review, right? By the way, it's called the CPI, it's Consumer Price Index. They're constantly reviewing what comes in and what goes out, and to make it relevant, to be like a basket of goods that the average consumer would buy. How much has the price of that average basket changed in the last month, in the last 6 months, in the last year? So there's obviously an understanding that a lot of families now buy these goods as a matter of course, either for their children or for themselves. They've become a staple part of entertainment in a household. You know, clearly, if Phil puts his prices up, then it impacts the inflation.
So he's going to cost us, basically.
Yeah, in the same way that
Phil,
for everything, like you know, food.
He should put the prices down.
Shoes, petrol. It all forms part of that bucket, right? So. Yeah, I mean, he arguably feels impacting why people's mortgages have gone up £700 a month or whatever this year. Like, blame Phil for it and Jim.
Jim got in early and had all his crap dealt with last year.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's
unfortunately for Phil, it's just got worse in our country anyway. So it just seems worse in the UK this time.
Apparently, it's even worse in the US, right? You go over there, like over here, you pay £2 for a can of deodorant. If you go over to the US, you're paying $8 plus taxes.
Yeah,
like honestly, it's mad over there. So sometimes we feel like we've got it bad, but in comparison, in some ways, it's not as tricky as it is over there. But yeah, I mean, you say it's unexpected. It come out of nowhere, but I think we could probably say that it was incoming at some point this year.
I'm surprised they did it. So what's going on at the moment is the FTC here in is taking place in the US. I'm surprised. Well, on one hand, I'm surprised they did it sort of just before that thing took place at the latter part of the week, simply because one of their, I mean, it just looks a bit worth noting. They haven't changed the US prices as far as I know. They remain unaffected. So the biggest market is staying. It would seem.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that. Actually, I'm pretty sure Eurogamer.
Can't remember.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I'm surprised they did it before it because it kind of, you've got this much power and you're up in your prices. But actually, what's happened is this was kicking off at the start of the week. As soon as the FTC hearing started, there were nuggets of information coming out. That's just swept up the news cycle completely. And not that people have forgotten about this, but they kind of have. Like the news cycle's moved on very quickly, and I wonder whether strategically that was part of it. It's like, let's dump it out just before we know there's going to be some big revelations on this court hearing, and then we'll feel a bit of pain for 24 hours, 48 hours, and then people will stop talking about it and go, what have the FTC uncovered in the investigation? What of all of Sony's exclusive? What are they saying in that court case? And obviously they had their showcase and have set another table, starting probably with Starfield in September, of games coming in 2024. Probably an ideal time to get in on Game Pass if you were to believe that table is going to deliver. And probably thought, well, we're on a riding a bit of a high now. People might actually be excited for what's coming down the pipe, rightly or wrongly. Let's chuck a few extra quid on the top of it. Costly.
Yeah. Not ideal, but so used to things going up at the moment, it's kind of hard to sort of chuck mud at them because it's happening everywhere pretty much, in every industry across the board. So
do those pound stores still exist?
They ain't just pounds though.
No, that's true actually. That died a long time ago. Because I'm going in one and there was £3, and I was like, wait.
Yeah, I was, very rarely have I been in there. But when I have been in there, there's like stuff like randomly for a £5. I'm like, this ain't a pound store then, is it? It's like, just because the majority of stuff's a pound, like the idea, at least when I was a kid, was that everything was a pound. But as we know, you can barely get a Buddy Mars bar these days for under £1.
Wow, that's why
it's a tricky business model.
That's why I go for those duo ones, because although it's a little bit more, the value is better.
Yeah, more for less in some ways.
But what I do with a chocolate bar is I pick one up and I pick the other one up, like different brands or different types. I'm not sure whatever one's heaviest.
You do it by feel. You don't check the weight.
No, I just think that one feels heavier. It feels more dense. I'll put the lighter one back and take the heavier one.
So what density is now the value of the chocolate bar?
Well, any way to beat these rising prices, to be smart about it. And I feel like I've got a loop. I've been doing that for years, to be fair, but
ahead of the wave.
That's my little loophole that I think I've discovered, but perhaps not. But no, Phil in the shit house as he deserves. Dirty bastard, as we might say on this podcast. Or maybe we should bring back Crooks of the Week.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
That's up to Crooks of the Week standard, so definitely win.
Well, it'd be a fight out between Nintendo putting that fucking Sega game at £55 versus.
That's probably not even Nintendo though. That's clearly Sega.
I know, but 55. It's like, that is for me up there with Crooks of the Week. Putting that out as a £55 release, that's incredible. I expected that half that price.
No.
Look out, bin men are here.
Not that. There we go. That's what we love to hear. Those noisy bastards. Just going to close out on well, maybe not. Probably is a small story. Storm in a teacup. As I said, we're not covering the FTC stuff because it's still lots of stuff ongoing as we speak, and also that will probably come out over the next week anyway, and maybe next week if it's interesting we'll talk about it. But Activision is shutting down the original Call of Duty Warzone later this year. As of September 21st, 2023. Warzone will shut down as our team.
All down.
Well, quote, as our team focus on future Call of Duty content, including the current Warzone free-to-play experience. To be honest, I'm surprised it's lasted this long, in all honesty. I know that Destiny 1 was killed off. Overwatch OG killed off immediately. And here they've left it running for just short of a year, maybe just about a year, and are kicking it off. This is it now, isn't it? In terms of service-based games, there's a shelf life of a year or so after the sequel comes out, and then after that, bye-bye.
Well, I mean, there never needed to be a sequel. Can I just add that? It was never and they've actually renamed Warzone 2.0 just as Warzone. So they've basically, yeah. So you talk about sequels, you talk about market position and everything. They're basically just gonna. It never needed it. It was never Warzone 2.0. It was all it ever needed, in my view, was it's a new map basically, and that's what Warzone 2.0 was, with a different set of rules. So. Yeah, unsurprising to see them stop it and focus on just having Warzone. But hopefully, I just want them just to continue to evolve Warzone. Like, you don't need to. What's the next one going to be? Warzone 3.0 with Modern Warfare 3? When you haven't got a 2.0 anymore, what are you doing to yourselves? Getting themselves tied up with nonsense.
Yeah, it's done. There's always going to. I wonder how many people are playing that in comparison to.
Well, I think you'd be surprised that 2.0, as it was, just has been a complete flop. They've had, the whole.
It surely hasn't.
No, that's unfair. I think that basically there was an initial boom, and they've seen numbers drop off a bit of a cliff. I think, broadly speaking, is the way to put it. Still loads of huge player base,
enough,
but like when you look back to the older one, how there was a really consistent player base. I mean, I haven't picked it up maybe for 4 months, like literally not even opened it. So. And there's loads of people like me that have done the same. And obviously they've had the Tim the Tap Man and Nick Merckx controversy, which I think's pissed a load of people off. Like the updates haven't been great. Like, so hopefully, I think the latest update has been a lot more positively received. But yeah, interesting one to keep an eye on, I think, because they've by no means got it in the bag.
Yeah, it's a tough grind, isn't it? That's just a tough
X-Defiant
grind.
is the new thing.
Wow, that's Ubisoft, isn't it?
I'll be honest, it's caught me by surprise. I don't know what the fuck that's all about, but I know there's some big streamers that have been playing that. Whether it's got the legs or not too sure. But
got to query these streams. They're normally paid.
They have to say.
Well, they ain't.
They have to come out going #ad. I don't know if it's the same on YouTube. To be fair.
Yeah, but well, maybe you'll.
That might be worth a separate little conversation. The whole streaming platform thing, exclusivity and monetization and all that crap.
It's still crazy money being palmed around for like signing up top streamers on X platforms. I saw a transaction go through the other week that was like tens of millions of dollars. I was like, Jesus Christ,
crazy, isn't it? Absolutely
crazy money. Maybe they'll come to us one day and offer just 1 million. Pounds, not dollars. I don't want dollars.
Just give me ads. Could be negotiated though. That's not the lowest offer we'd take, or is it?
I don't know. I always said that if you won the lottery and only got like under 1 million or whatever, you'd be fuming. I know it's a stupid thing to say because you never would have had that money, but that's your one chance. That's your one chance at winning it in all odds. Like you get one, and most people won't ever win it. And you happened to get it when it was fucking just coming off the back of a rollover and 4 other bastards got it. And you're like, well,
I know.
That was my shot at glory.
Stinker. Yeah, and then 10 other people get it and you get 10% of the overall pot and you go,
that wasn't even worth having.
If you won the lottery, would you do it again? Or would you just go, there ain't no point? Because you said already, you get one shot.
You do, typically. I probably would just, not in case, just it would be...
Can you imagine how lucky you'd be if in your lifetime you won the lottery more than one? Like, and when we say the lottery, we mean the jackpot, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because I've won 20 quid, 40 quid, lucky dips galore. But like in terms of big money, can you imagine? Like you'd be like, I must be literally the luckiest bastard in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably do it just in hope that I got it, and then would gloat about it and say, I've done it twice, lads.
What are you doing?
Yeah, what are you lot doing? So that'd be the only reason to do it. But typically, if I had enough, I'd pack up doing everything. That would be the end of it. That's the dream one day, but never will get there. Anyway, we're going to transition to some game impressions. I don't know what I'm going to put on here. So, as I say, you all know more than I do, and you'll be listening to some level of waffle about a video game that you can play today. But we'll see you on the other side. Here we are then, back with some gaming impressions from the governors of gaming. The gaming clique, the leaders of it anyway. We've got Adkins here. Forza Horizon 5.
Forza Horizon 5,
So how many of these have
baby.
you played now? 3? Is this
A
the third?
lot.
Is third or second one? So you've done.
I've done 1, 2, 3, and I played 1, 2, and 3 back
Oh.
to back.
Wow.
Oh,
That
wait,
rich
yeah,
backstory, Metal Gear Solid
I
like, apparently.
literally did. The brain went, no, you can't start. You've
He
got
thought it was a
rich story.
Kojima saga, and he needed the full backstory
it was
of the Forza Horizon Festival.
Forza Horizon thing. When we got 2018, was it 2018? Yes, it was 2018. So I played Horizon
Yeah.
2. The Horizon original on 360 back compat.
Yeah.
Then Horizon 2, that was both. They were both games for gold. Then I went and bought 3 off of eBay.
Delisted now, so well done.
Delisted. All 3 of them are delisted.
Yeah, they are.
I had them all on thing. Can't get them.
No. Fucking hell.
Yeah, played 3. That was in 2018.
Yeah.
And then 2019, one kind man such as yourself gifted me a code for Horizon 4. And played that to absolute disaster because it didn't have end credits. After getting 3 games on the bounce with end credits, managed to quote unquote complete the game.
Yeah.
Then yeah, so yeah, I'm all aboard. I've done all of it, and I now with the last iteration, I do every race I can.
Yep.
To completion because there is no fucking things now because these are now live service. But yeah, that's my history. So I've played them all through to end credits, and then the last 2 games haven't had end credits. So I play them to what I call completion, which is doing every race I can, and you get this race that's known as the end race.
Well, they called like showcases, like where you race like a blimp or something. They called.
That's it. So you'll go through. You have like they're much for much these games. You get the same thing, but you get like the different types of racing. So you have street racing, dirt racing, cross country racing, this sort of thing. And what happens is you have like a level for that, and as you start to build that up, it will hit a marker in that level, and then you're rewarded with a showcase for that set. Type of thing. With this, so you just keep going around doing those, and then once that's finished, you get like a final showcase. Although it's not really a showcase, the last one, it's just a race that's around the entire circumference of the whole entire map. There's no planes flying in or anything, which is pretty fun. But yeah, and then that's what I call the quote unquote. So yeah, I've played them all. I have never played any of the DLCs though. I will claim that.
Is it Hot Wheels now that's out? Are you gonna
Hot Wheels? I don't know. Would like to play them, and I should, but now that they're on Game Pass, I begrudge paying money for them.
No, it's the same. It's.
You know what I mean?
I don't know what
I never did before. They'd released the Lego and Hot Wheels. I think they released the Hot Wheels for free as well, didn't they?
They did Hot Wheels for free, yeah. They did a Lego one for 4, was it? Was it
Lego was for 4, Lego Speeders. And then I don't know if they did the Hot Wheels for that. I know they did like a Fast and Furious. They did a lot of car packs, what were getting on my nerves. So you're like, right. They'll be like, cool, here's that car. And you're like, oh no, it's locked behind the paywall, for fuck's sake. Luckily, you're never in the position where it's like, you need it.
No, you get like one car, can't you? That will boss everything if you want it. Yeah.
I tend to do with me, I tend to try and get the car that's on the front cover of the box.
Yeah.
That's going to be a daddy car. So I tend to do that with all of them.
They look the same to me, these cars. I can't tell the difference.
Yeah. I'm not really a huge car guy, to be honest. I don't really know much about, brake horsepowers and God knows. I like cars. I like looking at a pretty car, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, I sort of had this little phase of playing these games and loving them. And 5 when it dropped, I was all in and that. I was like, wow, this looks great. Like every year, I remember playing the demo for 4 and just being like, this is incredible. Like the demo for 4 was mind-boggling. Like how good that looked running at 4K 60. Yeah. 4K 60. And the demo was like one of their showcase, so it really was like a sort of technical piece. And they'd done exactly the same for 5. It was like going down this volcano, going off. like, core. And every year I'm just like, they can't top last year's graphics because that looks so good.
Yeah.
And this one, again, it does. You just somehow they've made the environments, the jungles and stuff, and I'm just like,
Mexico.
Mexico, yes. They're running out of destinations.
Yeah.
Done London, they've done England last year before, or was it like no, it was a few years ago now, wasn't it? 2019.
Yeah.
And then this year they've skipped a year and gone straight to fire. So we got Mexico, and I was there all day one for it. But
Oh.
I will say these games are wearing thin.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I know this has been a concern of yours throughout the series. Back down for free. 4, four was when they started to make this live service aspect of the game, much to my annoyance, just because of the end credits. But there's like an online component to this game where they try to sort of make you play with others and stuff, so you can get yourself into events, which they couldn't have, like a thing called like the Forzonian. I don't know, some sort of like festival where you're supposed to be like playing with other people and racing around and doing. I never tend to get involved in any of that muck. I just like going around and clearing down Toot, really, to be honest, and
steaming around the map.
Exactly, steaming around the map.
Doing those speed traps.
Doing them speed. I love them speed traps. There's speed traps you can do. There's ones like you go past a camera, a speed camera, and you've got to get it into a speed. Or there's ones where they're like it's a little distance, and you have to, so it's
average speed.
Like increased average speed. They're quite fun. Then you've got drift zones where it's like a road, like a fucking S bend, and you've got to drift and get points from there. You have
jumps.
I forget what they call it. Jumps. Yeah, I forget what they're called now. They're some of that again. Stunt things. Yeah. There's like boards you get, like fast travel boards and XP boards that you smash into to get nothing really, just numbers up. And there's also like it's constantly, what I like about this is how they are always comparing you to your compadres. So like there's a thing for every single road. It will like map where you've been around the map, and for every bit of section of the road it will tell you how many roads. So it'll be like you've unlocked 200 of 557, but it will tell you who's behind you. So it kept coming up with like Kale. It was like you are 2 roads above Kale. I was like, yes. It does sort of make you go, right, well, I want to fucking get this.
Well, there's those driver tiles as well, don't you? So Kale can be in your races, and you're like, fucking bastards here again.
Exactly that. So it definitely does make it sort of more of a competitive, even though it's all AI. It's backed. It's supposed there's some under hood stuff there that's quite good. It's sort of apparently supposed to like make mimic and algorithms of how he's playing, and put that into their AI, but. Salmon kept popping up as well, and I quite like you can change your number plates and like whatever. Changing if he changes his number plate, it'll appear in my game. So I quite like zooming in and seeing that. But yeah, as I say, these games are starting to wear thin with what they can do. This very much is a reskin of 4. There's not. They've tried to add in these dynamic events that happen, but they really don't happen often enough. Yeah. They had like sandstorms in this one. The good thing about this one was 4 that was set in England. They tried like look wise, they tried to make it different. Yeah. But there wasn't much different. You didn't have like deserts or anything. It was just like countryside. Yeah. Then a high road. Then you had like a town, a village. But it's all background stuff. It's nothing to do with the roads. So you didn't really get much variety. The only variety you got in 4 was they had the seasons.
That's it. Yeah.
You had like spring where it was like wet and sunny.
Well, you stuck in that season for like a couple of weeks. You were
stuck in that whole fucking. I think it was like a month. I think it was a month at a time. So that fucking like the winter scene. Everything was frozen. So you'd slip round. I'll be in that fucking whatever the front cover car was. I think it was like a McLaren Senna 1 or something. And it was like the fastest car or one of the fastest in the game. But the handling would just be ridiculous. So for a whole month, I'd have to play in the ice. I was like, fuck's sake. So you had that as a difference. With this one, the environments are very much different. You have deserts that you're going across because then you go into like Aztecian fucking jungles and stuff.
Ooh.
And then, like I say, you can go up a volcano, and you're fucking in the rocks, and you've got fucking lava spewing everywhere. And then they try to add these like dynamic events where you'll get like a sandstorm and you can't see fuck all. Or they had tornadoes and stuff going on whilst you're fucking driving. But
Yeah.
they really didn't happen enough for me to remember it. It was like, I reckon they probably happened under a handful of times. I'd say 3 or 4 times throughout my whole entire playthrough. I think I only clocked about 25 hours on it, 20 hours, something like that.
Decent.
Enough to clear down everything, but yeah, they're changing it up. They have these like them showcases, like you say, you go around and do them. This time they had like, you'd set up little minutes always to do with festival like throughout the scene, but they had like Mexican orientated festivals.
Yeah.
You'd go round and unlock, just keep doing races to unlock it, and then that would have its own showcase. There was a few different ones that you were new. There was one like where you like driving like a bus that was, do you know, then had that festival in Mexico, like the Day of the Dead.
Oh yeah,
Have you ever seen that? They had that, so you were like driving a bus really slow through like this big town of people celebrating. It looked really cool. Like it was really good. There's like fireworks and parkour effects going off, and it looked nice. But I was like, was not actually changing anything to this thing, and the races are all much for much. It sort of hit its precipice now.
Yeah.
This is sort of as far as they can take it, and it's now becoming the reskin
merchants,
the sub-yearly thing that it does, which is a shame because like these games are great for what they are. You know, like they've sort of just perfected this game now. When you look at the evolution from the first game to now, they really have got it down to a T, and you know, they are what they are. Like you say, they're not for the sim drivers that want that sort of real life experience. They are for tearing your fucking supercar across a beach and running over. Well, you don't run over anything, but it runs really nice. It looks gorgeous, but yeah, it's just not. That's it now. Like we've had 3 of these on the bounce, like 3, 4, and 5, which are essentially the exact same game but in a different setting.
Yeah.
So whether they do a 6, I'm sure they will, but I feel it's time that they need a bit of a revamp now, which it'll be interesting to see what they do. I don't know what they can get a grappling hook in there.
How about I just let you get out of the car and then
get out of the car, do a driver.
Do a driver. Oh, Driver 2, yeah. It was so...
Driver 2.
It was clearly one of those games. As Driver came out, which was so hard. I never got close to finishing that, but I really enjoyed playing it. And then I saw that Driver 2, and I'm just going to check this is actually lines up correctly. I was like, wow, you can get out the car. That's going to be amazing. So when was that released? So PlayStation November the 14th, 2000. And we got it November 17th over this way. Just want to see when GTA 3 came out. Oh, it's before GTA. So in my backwards head, I assumed that Driver 2 was copying GTA 3. But it wasn't. Is that a year before, to be fair? All right, I will stand down on that. But it was awful. You couldn't do anything. Like, you just get out and change to another car. And do you know what? They never even animated you getting in the car. What would happen is it would change to an angle where you couldn't see the door swing open or anything, but you just see him crouch down, then sort of move into the car. Mate, I had a steering wheel for that. I
remember that.
Damn, I never played that. There was like another Driver game where I think it was like Driver. It was set in like San Francisco, I think.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, it did like a yellow front cover.
That's it, and you could like take control of other people's cars or something. Like there was some weird mechanic where you could basically. I'm just looking it up now. Driver series. What was it called? It was called Driver. It was just called Driver San Francisco. Right, fair enough.
Oh, it was. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the yellow cover.
That's right.
You could teleport Tanner. That's his name. Tanner.
Oh.
Anyway, Forza Horizon 5. Phil of Spencer. Where I've got get these keys again.
Get them keys out. Keep the keys out. 'Cause we'll give it a score.
Open those up.
Open
Can't get in.
You had
WD-40 here.
anything else to add to it? Like I say, it was good for what it is, but really has worn thin. So therefore, I'm gonna reward it with another silver medal.
Silver medal. Well, if they
Silver.
just... There's a thought experiment here. And this isn't... I'm not trying to say anything. I'm just asking the question. If you'd paid 60 UK pounds for it day one, because let's be honest, Phil ain't chucking 70 UK pounds on it, so we'll give him that 60. Would you feel more aggrieved, or would you? Would that change your perspective? Because obviously this was another Game Pass jobby.
There's another Game Pass, and that's I think
the power
I would
of
have
it.
been real. Well, I think the sour taste would have been. And I remember us having this conversation just like at the start of when Xbox Game Pass was kicking off, and you used to say, "Does this give developers a sort of a feet up approach?"
I don't think this has been feet up from what you've said.
No,
but
no.
If you're starting to feel fatigued on it, it's less of a botherance, isn't it?
That's exactly that. Yeah, because I know, I have paid for it. I'm paying for gold, but but I'm not going out and shelling. I don't know. There's something about shelling out a $60 bills on the first day, and having that physical game that you've purchased purposely, and you're going to put your. I would have been left with a sour taste.
Maybe you would have played it more. Maybe you'd have been like, "I'll dig into this more." Because
maybe I have to. Yeah, potentially. And there's stuff there like this game isn't lacking in anything. It doesn't sort of undo what it's done in the previous. If anything, it adds more to it. But there isn't anything new to it that drew me in and made me want to stay longer than I did with the other ones. It was, there is everything there for fans of the franchise. The customization is increased. You can go bizarre in these games. You can, make them look fucking mental.
I ain't got the creativity for that. I like downloading other people's stuff. I remember on free you could download it was clearly like copyrighted, like people are copied like Superman, like everything you could download and put on the Batman stuff and.
That's exactly that. Shit. There's modes in it. There's like online modes. There's like a fucking battle royale mode where you can Destruction Derby. There's so much to do.
Isn't there a mode where you can create your own games or game types? People can craft their own. Yeah,
you can create your own like maps as well. Like you can do your own little sort of race and put fucking an aeroplane in the middle of it. Jump over that.
There's a lot
of
here.
It really is a sandbox, but in core, just core gameplay of going through, running through the world, exploring and playing through the races, it has its peak in my opinion, which is a good peak. Like it's a fantastic peak. If the other games, if these games didn't exist and this came out on this, it would be a different picture. It would. If this was on its own now, if this wasn't called 5, this was Horizon 1.
Yeah.
And this came out on its own, this would be an incredible game. If none of them else, this would be the greatest.
Yeah.
In my eyes, people won't agree with that, but it'd be the greatest racing open world game ever. But because we've had the 3, 4, and 5 behind it. Oh no, it's 5, 3 and 4 behind it, and the sort of like you say the crescendo up, we've got to that peak, and now I do fear for the thing. I hope they don't. And I know they're making these into live service games. This has only come out at the end of last year, so we're probably going to get another year at least to this. They seem to still update it, even once that new Horizon Motorsport will come out. They'll still be adding to this, and there's stuff there that people keep playing. But my time on this franchise has hit its peak.
Let's hope they can ship Fable at the door soon.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah.
But no. But people that are on the fence about this one, if you've not ever delved into it, I highly recommend playing it. But this is the perfect game to jump into because there's as much as I've played them all, there's nothing to do with them. And this really is the evolution of the franchise, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be.
Drag Brett through the mud like that.
It's hard. It's hard to fault this game, other than it's just doing.
You're just
more of
fatigued.
the same. I'm just fatigued.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just fatigued, and it's not added on. I thought it was going to add more to it that made me go, fucking hell, no, this is so much better than 4.
Yeah.
This is 4 in a different environment. A nicer look environment, it's very nice, and they're adding little bits here and there, but nothing concrete that I would say, Joe, you need to play this game.
No, I mean, having played 3, it was decent. Like, I appreciate what it was, but these I would love to love these games, but I just don't. I'm motorsport first, and these aren't that. And even like things like GT7 and Forza Motorsport aren't the motorsport I'm after. It's them F1 games. They've just got the package where I'll be jumping to that. But there we go. We'll close it down for this week, and Idle Game Chat will live to fight another day with any luck. Can never guarantee anything these days, can you? But at the end there, Halo Infinite lands itself in the silver part of Adkins's gaming gallery. So we've got the gaming gallery. So basically it's set up into wings. So you've got the wing of Adkins. I've got a wing. I wonder whether the wing's the right wording, whether it should be Adkins, you come along, you've got your own area where, exhibition.
Oh, here we go.
Sort of.
Now we're talking.
Get the pub involved. So I'll let the fans salivate on that potential change, which will shock Logan. But we'll close it down for this week. Nothing more for us to say here, other than thanks for your time and ta-da.
This was a Dimp Digital production.